Stay tuned for Dodger Dogs. They suck. You are listening to Stones Radio Networks, the home of the Lincoln Potters. Stay tuned for more of the POS show on Stones Radio Networks. Stones Radio Networks, the home of the Lincoln Potters. Coming up on Stones Radio Networks, the POS show, Phantom on Sports. Coming up on Stones Radio Networks, the POS show, Phantom on Sports. You are listening to Stones Radio Networks, the home of the Lincoln Potters. You are listening to Stones Radio Networks, the home of the Lincoln Potters.
Stones Radio Networks presents PotterCast, the best podcast for the best summer collegiate baseball team around, your Lincoln Potters. Hosted by the one and only Mark Phantom Lowe and his sidekick. That's me, Stones McCoy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. It's time for the PotterCast.
Welcome into the PotterCast. I am the one and only Mark the Phantom Lowe. We're going to have to work on that sidekick thing. Okay.
You don't like the sidekick
I don't
thing?
like the sidekick. I don't like you sliding yourself like that.
You want me to
because
sit next to you?
you do.
Hey, buddy.
No, stop that. You do 93% of the work here, so you should at least get co-headliner.
Ooh, co-headliner.
Yeah, a co-headliner.
Okay.
No sidekick stuff.
All right.
But anyway,
I'll take
yes, this is the PotterCast, the only podcast devoted solely to the Lincoln Potters, the Collegiate Summer Woodbat Collegiate Summer League baseball team.
You did a wonderful
I think
job that time.
I think that's the best one I've ever done.
Yes, I think so.
We are coming off a very busy week for the Potters. We're going to go back over that week. We've got some great highlights that Stones has picked out for you. We're going to talk about the player and the pitcher of the week, and it wasn't very easy to figure out.
No.
Also, it's the midseason. We had the 16th home game, and in a season of 32, do the math.
That's halfway.
That's 50%.
Okay.
So I thought we would do we won't name, obviously, these are mid-season awards, kind of getting us on the track to the end of the season awards where we have a player, where we have a offensive player, defensive player, MVP, pitcher of the year, that kind of thing.
You bet.
So I thought we could talk about that, and then we'll talk about the upcoming schedule, some stuff that's happening at the end of the regular season that we really need to start talking more about.
We really do.
And so we've got a pretty full show.
Okay.
We've got a pretty full show.
If it's full, you tell me, feed me, buddy.
I thought we'd start off with a recap. Now, right after last Monday, the Potters went to Walnut Creek on Tuesday and Solano on Wednesday and dropped one-run games to both teams.
Tough
games. 3-2, I think, and 5-4, and the 5-4 was a walk-off. And it was a situation where, it was the typical Potters. It was real good pitching, pretty good pitching, a couple of hits here and there, and they did have, I think, 10 hits on Tuesday and 9 on Wednesday, so more hits than we've been getting, but still weren't able to really make a lot out of it, so we dropped 2 one-run games.
Well, and something that we've talked about, you just mentioned, so 9 hits and 10 hits, so it's not necessarily offensively they weren't getting things going, but one thing that in both of those one-run games that needs to be cleaned up, and we'll talk about this more, but is the defense. Especially in one-run games, if you have a couple of mistakes, those mistakes can really come back to bite you. And in one-run games, when we were on the road, we really did have a couple of things come back to bite us. So that got us in the end. But, 5-4 and 3-2, that's a hard-fought baseball game,
yeah, very competitive,
regardless of the outcome. So there's a lot of positives to take away from even those 2 losses. But defense is something that I think we'll key in on here later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that actually when we get into one of the games that we played here at home over the weekend in a high-scoring game where you wouldn't think it would factor into. I think that is the game that really points to how much we need to tighten up the defense. So we'll get there. So then Tuesday and Wednesday they come out and they lose the one-run games, and so we're kind of we're trying to stay competitive in the CCL, in the North Division. There's only 4 teams. Top 2 go to the playoffs.
Yep.
Healdsburg has pretty much set the pace right now. I think they've lost 1 game. So they've pretty much set the pace. We're kind of scrambling for second because we want to get that second slot in the CCL tournament. Right now, Solano is in the lead by about a game, a little more. We've played far more league games. In fact, after we get done with tomorrow and Wednesday, when we go down to Solano, that'll be halfway through the league season as well.
For us.
So, yeah, for us. But no other team, I don't think, has played as many league games as us. So we need to pile up some wins, but we'll talk about that later. So then Healdsburg comes into town, and, they've beaten us, I think, at that point 4 times. And 2 of them have been competitive, 2 of them have been blowouts. This one was one of the more competitive games that we played all year. And I think I said to you and I said to Ryan Stevens that this one had the feel of the old Potters.
Yes.
The Potters and the Prune Packers back and forth, trading blows. Now, unfortunately, late in the game, our bullpen kind of let us down, and they've been the bright spot of the entire team.
Well,
so it was 3-3 going to the 7th. We eventually lost at 7-4, but it was one of those old-style games.
Absolutely. So the starting rotation for the Potters for that particular game was very, very solid. And like you said, it fell apart towards the later stages of the game. Our bullpen is, and again, I don't know the exact stats, but they've got to be the most innings pitched out of a bullpen out of any of the 4 of the CCL teams.
Very high. I would agree with you. Yeah,
we're getting into the bullpen a lot in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings, and we're cycling through guys. So, some of that can be put on the fact that there's been a high usage rate coming out of the bullpen. Marlon Mercado seems to have thrown 800 innings so far.
Yes, we will discuss him at length later.
So again, the bullpen, it's a strong point of this team, and you got to give them nights where they're going to have issues, stamina issues, things of that nature, and that could have been one of the things that came up to bite him. But you're right, that game against Healdsburg felt like 2018. It felt
2018, 2019, our first couple of seasons, it really did.
Very powerful.
Do you have our highlights ready to go?
I always have highlights ready to go,
because we had a highlight in that game. There was a guy whose name was Drew Stahl. It probably still is. And he came up early in that game and slammed a triple. Batting out of the number 9 hole, he slammed a triple. And I'm like, okay, Drew Stahl, make your claim.
Big hit.
And then he comes up in the 7th inning and says, I'm making my claim right now.
Yeah, he does.
Here's the pitch on the way. Stahl swings and hits one well to left field, going back. The left fielder, and that ball is gone. A home run by Drew Stahl, and I knew when he got that triple, he was swinging with confidence, boy, that he just took a cut at that one and blasted it over the left field fence. That's the first Potter home run in quite some time, home or away, and Drew Stahl is 2 for 3. And now it is a 5-4 game in favor of the Bruins. Yeah, so there's Drew Stahl, and that's a great picture, by the way. Drew comes out and swinging, and he's one of the guys I think that we'll talk about later when we talk about players of the week. His average isn't that high, but he came back. I think it's hitting like 180 or something before the 3 games at home. And now he's like 40 points higher than that, and he had 2 points again. 2 hits again in the last game.
He hit a 2-pointer.
Yeah, he had a 2-pointer, and then should have got a 3-pointer. But he has really been picking it up as far as at the plate out of that number 9 hole.
And good contact in every at bat that he's had. I mean, even if he's not getting a hit, he's putting good wood on the ball, and it's a nice sight to see.
Yeah, it was funny. He just looked way more confident, and we've talked about this many times, how guys suddenly wake up in the summer, or guys suddenly find the groove in the summer. And Drew came out, and the first at bat when he hit his triple, he just took a lash at the ball.
Yes,
and even the next time he struck out his second at bat. But I remember commenting, he just wound up and went at it, and then the third time you saw what happened. So Drew Stahl hits the home run. Unfortunately, that's not enough. It made it 5-4, but Healdsburg scored 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 9th, and they took that one 7-4. Then we come back on games that you and I talked about. We talked about with Ryan Stevens. I think we talked about with the vendors. Everybody here, Walnut Creek's coming to town. Solano's coming to town. Where we are now in the league standings, we've got to get those 2 games. Walnut Creek comes to town, and the one thing that Ryan Stevens has been telling us since the season began is we have to get the big hit, the one that clears the bases. That's the one we're not getting.
Yeah.
So in the first inning against Walnut Creek, the Potters put together quite the rally, and the newcomer, Jeffrey David, comes to the plate, and I guess he heard Ryan Stevens say we need to get the big hit because he came up and said, well, why don't I try to do that for you, Skip?
Yes, he did, didn't he?
I think that would be intruding and all, just to stand behind the screen and say, hey, where are you from, man? Who's that guy? Hey, Jeff, what's up? How you doing? I'm Stones. What? Oh, that know you. They know Stones. I mean, it's okay. It's just Stones. 1 ball, 1 strike. Halfley good lead at second. Same with Hold at first. Swinging a well-hit ball to left field. Going back is Brandel. It's up. It's out of here. A 3-run home run by Jeffrey David. And the Potters are getting what they needed here in the first inning against Walnut Creek. It is now 6-0 in favor of Lincoln. A 3-run blast by Jeffrey David. 4th hit of the inning and the 6th run by the Potters. Just what we're talking about with Ryan Stevens. And we're going to take another. So we got the replay in there. We got everything going on. So he comes out. Potter scores 6 in the first. They haven't been doing that all year. Then they kind of laid down a little bit. They got a Jake Sapien home run later.
Yes, they did.
So they were leading 7-6. So we said, okay, we need to close this out. And we were getting tense up in the booth. We were tense because we needed this win. Walnut Creek had a guy, Muniz, who hit 2 home runs and just scared us just by walking to the plate. I mean, that guy
big flies.
He was frightful. So we get to the 9th inning, and Lucas Wepf, the new guy, Lucas Wepf coming in from University of Louisiana Monroe, comes in, and Ryan Stevens goes, hey, Lucas, see if you can go out and close this game for us. We need to win really bad.
And I believe he does, doesn't he?
Let's see if he does.
Lucas
That's what
steps off.
He's still yelling at him.
Yeah, he's going to keep yelling. He
There's
doesn't
Pat Still.
stop because he has.
What are you guys talking
There
about?
he goes. He's going to get people going.
Oh, it's
0-2
you.
pitch
They're
to
talking
Sam
about
Hunt.
you. The last strike
Runner on
guy.
third. Comes down the line. Here's the pitch. Swung
Got
on
him.
and missed. He got him. The Potters win it 7-6. Weff comes on, gets the save. Pat Still brings us a win in our 100th game on Potters Radio. It's all good. Potters win this game 7-6. Lucas Weff with the save. We're back with the Potters postgame celebration. Pat Still, thank you so much for.
Well, Pat's still in there, 100th game. It's just crazy stuff going on in the Potter world. And we got little pictures on the bottom.
Yeah.
And, where you're out there screaming. Last strike guy, we haven't got to see last strike guy in a while.
No, it's been a while.
There's the megaphone over
Yes.
there that you got gifted. So Potters get that win. And as I said to Ryan the next day, everybody is. Remember, we were walking out of here after that game, and everybody's like, "Hello!" It's like a musical. Oh, there comes Stones. La 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 la. Even Ray Garcia was nice to us.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
it was
crazy.
great.
It was
Everybody's had a
crazy.
great
The
mood.
Fat Cat catering guys giving out brats to people, just
Everybody.
shuffle them.
Yep.
He's just like juggling them and throwing them to people. So that was great to get the win. But then you got to validate, right?
Well,
then
of
you got to
course.
come in the next day and you got to do it again. We threw up 6 runs in the first inning.
Again.
How are we going to do that again? So Solano Mudcats come to town. Fresh off beating us in 9 innings, 5-4 a couple of
Yeah.
days earlier. We got to get the win. And so, that thing in the first inning, we got 6 against Walnut Creek. So I think the Potters go, we can do better than that.
Yeah.
The guy that we need to send up, again, the number 9 hitter, how about Jacob Shaver out of Riverton, Utah? Jacob, why don't you go in and cap off this first inning for us? And he said, yeah, okay. Stall at first. Kenneth Jimenez is over at third. Brandon Chalk, there goes the runner. The pitch is hit high in the air to left field and pretty deep. Going back is Brown, going back, and that ball is out of here. A home run by Jacob Shaver. It took a while to come down, but Stones McCoy knew it was out here. Jacob Shaver puts a shot in it. That makes it 9-1 in favor of the Potters. It was an impressively hit ball at the beginning, but I didn't know if it was going to make it all the way. A 3-run shot by Jacob Shaver, and they put up 9 in that game, or in that inning to go ahead 9-1. Then, the other team kind of came back a little bit because the Solano's very pesky.
Oh.
They come back, they scratch, they claw, they get some runs. And so the Potters are eventually up 10-3. We moved into the later innings, and something happened that day that changed the Potters' lives forever, and it was the return of Daniel Susak. I call him the natural.
The natural.
And for some reason, he came back to Lincoln for the 3rd season.
Oh, not
This
for
is a
some
guy-
reason. He loves it
This is a
here.
guy who could just go, something? Why don't you send the jet and take me to the Cape Cod League?
Yeah.
And then, or whatever other leagues there are in the Bahamas or something. This is a guy who's the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. He's a first-team All-American. And he's something else. He went to the College World Series.
He was something
He's a
else.
freshman All-American
You're
and a
right.
first-team All-American.
Yes.
And he went to the College World Series. And all of a sudden, he's like, you know what I need to do before I, go off into the sunset? I got to go back to Lincoln again.
I'm going to try it out there.
And just hearing that he was coming back, people were trembling. It was crazy. It was like the beginning of the first Jurassic Park when you saw all the glasses shaking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Natural's coming
The
back.
stands were a buzz
So
with that.
the Natural came back. We all didn't believe it until we saw
No,
him. The
did
Natural
not.
came back. I remember asking Ryan Stevens, I said, and we were talking about the night before, I said, did you like seeing Jeffrey David's home run land, or did you like seeing Susak walk into the locker room? And he said, Susak's a legend, man.
Yeah.
He's a legend to Ryan Stevens.
You can't just.
So Daniel comes in, and he goes, something, I don't know how many games I'm going to play. I'll probably play this one if you want me to. And I go, Daniel, I didn't say this to Daniel because I would never address him personally.
Yeah.
I sent
Mr.
somebody, I sent a
Susak.
little kid to ask him. I said, Mr. Daniel, could you hit one really far today?
Just
And
to
he
impress
said,
me?
He said, kid, I can do that for you.
I could do that for you.
Line drive to left field, and see you later. That's
Great
it.
call.
See you later. Line drive to left field, see you later. Stones McCoy, all he did was start waving. And everybody just kind of stopped and said, thank you for coming, Daniel. It's really nice to have you here. You're the natural. It's a 3-run homer for Susak. 8 runs for the Potters in the inning. And that was just, okay. Now, I don't know if there's a mercy rule, but that feels like the final blow. That's a mic drop right there. To Solona's credit, they came back and gave us a game. But I will say that was the first time I've ever seen it where Daniel, and you can almost see it on the replay. Daniel hit the home run, which was, you could see it on the replay. It looked like an UFO.
Oh, yeah.
Going off into the dark.
I tracked it.
And then, it's like Santa
Impossible.
Claus. It's like Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve.
Whatever.
So he hit it, and then if you watch, he's the only one that moves.
Yes.
Everybody else is just looking.
They're staring at it.
The runners aren't running. The pitcher went, oh.
It's as if Willie Mays hit it.
Yeah, it is. It's like, oh.
That is so pretty.
And almost like they turned and they were going to look, and Daniel was going to fly away on some cloud or something.
Well, the sound alone.
It's just fun to talk. I mean, it's just so. Yeah. It's just so great of him to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Because him coming back, and we talked about this, means a lot to other players.
It means so much to the players.
It really does.
There.
And so having him in was great. And then he obviously capped off an 8-run inning and was 18-10. Then it was 18-12, and then the Potters scored a bunch more runs.
24-12.
24-12. So that was the last game, and then the Potters went off the next day and played at Healdsburg, lost that one 8-2. So they came back. It was pretty 2-4 for the week. 2 of the losses were to Healdsburg.
Yeah.
Won both home games, so that's big, and rediscovered the bats. The thing I wanted to say about defense, like you were saying, is the Potters won that game 24-12. Solano can hit pretty well, but
yes,
some of those 12 runs should not have been there.
Absolutely
and
not.
You look at a game like that and say, I need to tighten it up in the games that are blowouts, because that carries over to the, it's easy to say one-run game, we got to play better defense.
Oh,
but
it's easy to say that, yeah.
You look at the games that are blowouts, and then it's easier to point out this has got to change or that has got to change. And I think that's going to do that. That'll help the defense coming down the one-run games in the future.
Oh, yeah.
But you look at what happened in that blowout game, and it's easier to pinpoint things because there were several things that the Potters didn't do. And you and I mean, we've got to talk about this. We've talked about it between us. I don't know if we ever mentioned it on a postgame. The Potters have not thrown a runner out.
No.
Stealing in a long time.
Well, I think
there's a couple that slid over the base and they got him.
Yeah.
Other than that, they haven't thrown him out. And I think, to me, and I know you were a catcher. You were also a pitcher, though.
Yeah.
To me, it is a pitcher's not holding them on. That's what I'm seeing.
Well,
but you may disagree.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, that's something that has to be addressed if you're going to win those one-run games, because you got guys stealing second and third right away.
Well, there's a couple of situations in which we saw, a guy going from the windup when you got a guy on third, and a lot of the times that's not a big deal. But in the CCL, it's a much bigger deal because you're not doing a job of holding the runner on, especially in a tight game. If, 1 or 2 run game, you got a runner on third. I understand that a lot of people feel more comfortable going from the windup there.
Right, I can understand that too.
You got to hold that runner closer to the bag in order to make sure that if it is an infield hit, you can get that runner at home.
Or a pass ball or something.
Or a pass ball or any of those things.
Yeah.
And so you and I have talked about it. Holding the runners on is definitely something that I would like to see more of. It's not that the guys behind the dish don't have great arms. They do. They have great arms.
Yeah, but they don't get a chance.
You're not getting a chance when a guy gets a 2-second jump off of your delivery to home. That's a tough one.
Absolutely. So that obviously is something that we have noticed that needs to change in the sense of it's just giving the other team too much of an advantage. It's not like we're pointing a finger going, no. It's like this is something that if you guys want to win close games, this is something you have to do. And obviously making better throws and stuff like that comes through it all. But let's put that aside and move on to our pitcher and player of the week. I don't know if you've given this a lot of thought. You were busy rebuilding the studio. I don't remember who our pitcher of the week last week was. I think it was Ryan Bruno,
yes,
but I'm not sure. That's good. It was. So I'm going to go with. Let's start with the player of the week.
Yeah.
To me, this is a relatively easy one, although this is a guy who just joined us like 6 games ago, and he's made a difference at the plate and in the field. And I want to mention, we mentioned Drew Stahl earlier. I want to mention him as kind of a runner-up because I thought he really hit the ball well, and he's played good defense whether he's at short or at second. He's done a fine job. But I think that Jeffrey David is the guy I'm going to take for player of the week because I think he's hitting like 360 or something like that, and he patrols center field like the aforementioned Willie Mays. So I think I'm going to go with Jeffrey. I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
You can't. I don't know if you can go wrong with the way David's played in this, especially in the 2 games that we got to witness in front, or the 3 games that we got to witness in front of us. I mean, it's something else to watch somebody come into Lincoln and play center field for the first time.
Because we got a legacy of guys out there.
We do.
Yes.
But to see how well they can do or how much it hinders them. he came out here and acted as if this was his home field. He'd played here his entire life and knew the sun and the wind. And he gets a jump on the ball that's just unreal. Honorable mentions got to go out to Quentin Hall for the week
game.
he had.
Yes, and he was 5 for 6 the other night. That was a fantastic game.
7 RBIs.
Yes,
he's had a hell of a week, so you got to give the honorable mention to Quentin Hall. Drew Stahl as well. We've talked about some of the issues within the infield. Drew Stahl has definitely helped put an end to some of those issues.
Right, Haskins as well,
and Haskins as well. So it's really hard between those 3, 4, maybe even 5 guys. But yeah, David is he's jumped off the page and jumped off of the field for me.
Yeah,
watching what he does out there.
That's exactly right. He does jump out at you. So we'll give the Jeffrey David player. Before I move on to Pitcher of the Week, you reminded me when you talked about weather, we have to thank our 2 guest announcers we've had so far.
Oh, yes.
Christina Werner came out the first time from Fox 40, the chief meteorologist.
Chief.
And as you saw in the highlights, Pat Still from KNCI was here for the 100th game and the game the Potters had to win.
We had to have
so
that.
Pat definitely, Christina did an incredible job and we love her, but Pat's the one we definitely are inviting back because that was a W, okay?
Well, I'm bringing Christina back because Christina has an energy about her that translates so well to what we're doing here.
So well said.
And I had actually gotten several messages, no offense to Mr. Phantom over here, but guys saying, you need to dump that chief meteorologist tag and take on the chief play-by-play guy with Phantom because she is amazing.
Wow.
So
I did not see this going that way.
This is coming from some of the fans, so you better watch your back, buddy.
Why are they turning on me?
It's not that they're turning on you, but they just got a flavor of something new that was
Did they want us
awesome.
Did they want us to be a team, or did they want her to take over the whole thing?
I think they might want you guys to be a team, but she might be the leader.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Anyway, thank
Pat.
you to both of them, and thank you to her, and thank you to Pat.
Pat,
for
I just
coming
can't
in.
thank him enough.
We have a couple more that we're
good
scheduling now, so we will come out with that. Probably we'll have most of the rest of them in the middle toward the end of July because the Potters, as we'll talk about in a little while,
kind of a crazy
have
schedule.
a very scarce schedule at the beginning of July. Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah, Pitcher of the Week. This was a really difficult one for me, Stones. I had to go through the book and everything.
Yeah.
And because we had, like we said, 2 wins. We had 4 losses, and a couple of losses we had some decent pitching, and a couple we didn't. And I was looking for consistency. And the name that I came out with, and you may have a new one, the name I came out with was the name we threw around before, and you've already mentioned Marlon Bricado. And the reason I mentioned Marlon is because he pitched the game against Walnut Creek, he pitched an inning of perfect relief, and then in the game against Solano, even though it was a wide margin, he came in and restored order and really shut it down. And the thing about the game against Walnut Creek, and I know you'll agree with me, although remember Pat was doing the game with me that day, and he even remarked upon it. Marlon came in and got 3, 4, and 5 in the 8th inning with Muniz with the 2 home runs and Dardar with the home run. He came and retired 3, 4, 5, and just bang, bang, bang. And that was, I think, for me, it might have been the most important inning the Potters have played this year. And he came in and 1-2-3'd it. So I'm going to go with Marlon Bricado, and that's my reasoning.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to move you off of that one either.
You can move me off, but I'm listening to what you got.
I don't know if I could move myself off of that one either because what was mentioned in the pregame of that game is you said that this could make or break the Potter season.
Yeah.
And this is an extremely important game. And Marlon came in the highest stress situation that game.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, you go back and look at the entire game. There was lots of stress, but the highest level of stress was the inning that Marlon came in and got the shutdown inning that we talk about.
Love those, yeah.
And I love those.
Yes,
so,
you do.
Gustafson, though, has been very consistent, okay?
The only thing about Gustafson, I've been looking it over, he either stays in one inning too long or just has one, because he doesn't go in like Marlon and pitch like 1 or 2 innings.
You're right.
Gustafson goes 4 or 5.
3, 4, 5.
So he pitches the big innings.
You're right.
And that has come back to kind of bite him a little bit as far as numbers are concerned. I think you and I both agree. He's been very impressive watching him pitch.
Extremely
and a lot
impressive.
of confidence in him. It's just that he's had, he's pitched against some pretty good teams
He's
too.
pitched against good
but
teams.
I don't think numbers really reflect how good he's been, to your point.
Well, the numbers don't reflect that, and because in Summer League League Baseball, there's a lot of times where you get left out there a little bit longer for many different reasons. Maybe somebody's not warmed up. Maybe, you're on a pitch count. They want you to hit that pitch count. There's certain aspects of it that get thrown out there. I think he's been a really good starter for this team, something that we need.
Yes, you're right.
We need 3 anchors of this team to be able to play in the upcoming tournaments, the CCL and the West Coast World Series.
We sure do.
I would definitely put him out there, but yeah, I mean, Bricado, I think he put the exclamation point on the season-saving win that the Potters needed.
And then Wemp came in after him. We have to mention. Also, have to mention
don't forget Wemp.
Ryan Bruno, who struck out, I think, 6 2 2/3
Bruno's been
against
ridiculous.
Healdsburg. So yeah, I get.
But he already won it. So
I know, but I just want to mention because I couldn't remember if he won it or Marlon did last week.
No.
Marlon
was my honorable mention.
All right, so Jeffrey David, Marlon Bricado, congratulations to them, the pitcher and player of the week. So
we'll give you high
brings
five.
us. We can high five if you want. That brings us to the midseason
what did they win?
award.
I want to know what they win. They win high fives from us.
They win high five from us, and also the beautiful Stones Radio Network's Player of the Week koozies that we are making.
We're making those. Sorry, guys.
We're working on those. They're going to be great for your drinks. So it's halfway through, like we said. Halfway through the league season will be Wednesday. Halfway through the home season is already here. So it's time to look at the midseason awards, and I thought we would just talk about a couple of names.
Okay.
Player, MVP, offensive player, defensive player, pitcher. And I know there's a couple other awards, but they're more inspirational, so we won't get into those just yet. So I thought let's start with Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year going at this point, you've definitely got a couple of candidates.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're trying to get a couple candidates.
I think one of the guys that I would like to mention, and I think things might start to turn around, really depends on how he's feeling, but Kenneth Jimenez.
Behind the plate,
behind the plate, it's definitely been a struggle behind the plate this year in general with the Potters, and I think his presence back there has been really, really good, and I think things are starting to turn around. He's been hurt, and that's the tough one.
That's really tough, especially when you're a catcher.
When you're a catcher and you're hurt, that's really difficult. So, but I would definitely throw him out there. Drew Stahl.
Yes,
the way
absolutely.
He's played middle infield is definitely a big thing. Grant also.
Jack Grant,
definitely. And I know it might sound like I have a favorite, but I don't. But Quentin Hall. Give the guy some real credit. He's played the outfield positions, and the toughest position in this park is left field.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple of times that left field bit him, but then there's been a few times that he bit back.
He's made some really excellent catches. Hasn't had as much chance lately to make the running catches, but he's made some great catches.
Yeah.
And I think he's a really good one that I didn't bring up. I'm going to obviously mention Jeffrey David, who's new here.
He's new here. That's why I didn't throw him out there.
Yeah, we noticed that. Also, I want to mention Trevor Haskins, who's new here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he is kind of solidified. We have 3 very interchangeable middle infielders.
Yes, we do now.
Which we've done a couple of times in the past, and it's always worked well for the Potters. Trey Furry is playing well over at third base. Trace plays over there too, so that both of them are doing pretty well. We're trying to shore up a little bit of first base. That seems to be It's been
a rotating position a little bit this summer, and I'm not exactly certain why.
A lot of times the guys that are playing there don't get to play there very often. Remember in years gone by, Matt Lopez would be our first baseman.
That's true.
And this year, it seems like we have 3 or 4 guys who play. I mean, Matt Volker could play there. Yeah. Evan can play there. Trace plays over there. And there's other guys that I even remember. So, I mean, I think it's like if you're only playing a position once or twice a week, it's kind of strange.
And
tough. Even though you go, it's just first base. Well, first base is pretty difficult.
It's a pretty important spot.
So I would put those guys in there as far as that's concerned. I would say, Jeffrey David and Quentin, as far as outfielders, are really good. Yeah. Mason Holt, who's just started.
I was going to say Mason Holt
kind of held down right field pretty well the 2 or 3 games, the two games that we've seen him. So he's kind of like a dark horse right now.
He caught everything that was hit to him.
He did, and he seemed to have some sort of locator beam on.
He
it too,
really does. I love watching
that. I really
that.
like. So that's great. So I agree with you. I think the 3 middle infielders and Quentin and Jeffrey and Mason and and Kenneth. I don't want to.
Yeah.
We don't want to overlook anybody, obviously, but, I mean, those are the guys who have stuck out to us so far as defensive are concerned. So let's go to the offensive side.
Oh.
And remember, the offensive side kind of gets mixed in again with MVP, too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think I'm going to go first on this one because I want to take a guy that I think Quentin Hall is obviously going to be a candidate for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the best numbers right now. His conference batting average is over 300, but it's not as good as his overall average.
Correct.
So, and it's going to be mostly conference games on the way through. But still, I think Quentin, from what he's done from day one, deserves to be in the conversation.
I would put him in the conversation probably in my upper echelon spots. I mean, it's not just his offense that makes him special offensively. It's how he leads the team and gets the team going offensively.
We're going off into some other different category now.
No, but his offense breeds offense from the team.
He's infectious.
He really is infectious.
Yes, he is.
So I mean,
in a good way.
There's a lot of there's a lot of offensive talent on this team,
right.
but I would, if I had to give it to somebody, I'd give it to Quinn.
I would say the blowback on that, I would say, and this is a guy that you never know in the summer league. This is the thing. We're the last ones to know anything.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we're the ones who tell everybody what's going on. Jason Brando is the guy I'm going to throw out there right now.
Hold on.
He has been tremendous all year long, and he has been very consistent all year long.
Damn it, I didn't have the roster in front of me. I should have said Brando also.
But I just don't know if Jason, I haven't seen him in a couple of days, and that means, the guys take, a couple of days off and come back.
Hey, man,
they do it all the time. So hopefully Jason's going to come back, but I would have to put him up there with offensive players.
Yeah,
that we're going to
slap me for missing that one.
No, you're not supposed to mention everybody. So Quentin and Jason are two really good choices.
Yeah.
You look. Trace had a really good start, but hasn't been doing as much lately, and everybody else is kind of in and out, so it's hard to tell. Matt Volker, I think we have to mention Matt Volker as well.
Well, and the only reason why I don't think Matt Volker has been mentioned yet is we haven't seen him in a little while.
Really haven't.
He
had 3 hits yesterday.
Yes,
but that was a game we didn't see. So,
exactly, and we didn't have him here in the last game,
right?
And so but Matt Volker is a leader. He's a leader of the team on both sides of the ball, offensive, defensive.
Absolutely is.
Because he's a pitcher. He can play first base. We've seen him do that. He can rake
right field. Yeah,
he can play right field. So. Yeah, that kid can absolutely rake. He's an all-around player. There's got to be another award here.
Well, we'll have a Shohei Ohtani award.
Oh,
it'll be either him or Jake Sapien right now.
Oh, yeah, that's
I'll work
tight
on that.
Race.
I'll work. See, again,
that's
another
race.
One of the 300 great ideas I've had this year, which they implement 4. Okay, so let's go to then pitcher of the year. I think there's like a billion candidates because people are just getting their stride. Obviously, Marlon Bricado is in there. Ryan Bruno is in there.
Yeah.
They have been pitchers of the week. I think Shane Gustafson is in there.
Mm-hmm.
We've also had good stuff from Bradley Wilcott. Jeremy Hassel's had a couple of good outings. Other guys in the bullpen, Sotelo and JoJo. So that's kind of a wide open thing. I would say right now, I personally would look to the bullpen for my pitcher of the year right now. So right now it's like Marlon or Ryan. Probably Marlon because he's got more. I think he's been in 12 games or something.
He's
weird,
been in all the games.
Incredibly weird number.
Yeah.
But that's still a wide open thing because I really think there's going to be at least 3 or 4 guys who have not stood out so far that are kind of like going to get their strides.
Oh, yeah.
And the rest of the year they're going to really shine.
Well, and I still think that we have yet to see the best of Angel Cespedes.
Yes.
And he's been okay. He hasn't been the Angel Cespedes that I think a lot of us have wanted to see, but I still think that we have yet to see that in him. So we'll see
That's
that
the kind of thing I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but one name that didn't get mentioned and because he's no longer here, but Cade Turnage.
Easton.
Excuse me. There's 2 Turnages. Yes. I'm sorry, Turnages.
No, but you're right. Easton.
Absolutely. Really pitched his rear end off out here.
Absolutely
did really, really well.
He was a pitcher of the week the first week,
and he had one pitcher of the week award.
Yeah.
So
what else can you want from a summer, right?
You gotta mention him, and so
you do.
He was a really, really good pitcher for us. Right now it's too wide open, I think, to really kind of nail it down.
There's not really
guy.
even front runners, although we talk about the bullpen all the time. So Marlon and Ryan and some other guys. Logan Bell has been good, and so is we got Lucas Weff now.
And
he looks he's been on 2 games, hasn't given up nothing.
So you know what that means? Hey, starters, you got to get your act together.
You got to get.
You want to bring that back?
Get us to the middle, and you go ahead and get us to the middle.
Come on now.
We'll do great, and then hopefully the defense will help you out. And then we get to MVP, and that's really a tough one. We've mentioned just about every player on the team.
Yeah,
I think that. I think that's the place where you add in what you were talking about with Quentin, and I think with Jason too, and that they're leaders. And MVP that's part of what they do. It's not just offense or defense.
Correct.
It's other stuff,
I'd give it to Volker.
So, I mean, Volker's a tremendous choice because he's pitching and he's hitting.
Yeah.
And he is obviously one of the guys, I think, that's one of the more veteran guys
Well,
and one of the local guys. So he really helps out in that sense.
He's a leader. He's a leader all around. I mean, I know I watch the guys talk to him. And, again, I'm not in the clubhouse, but I watch.
You should be. You should have a pass.
I should, but, that's all right. They don't want me in there.
No, they don't.
But I watch him talk to the guys. I watch him talk to the guys about hitting. I watch him talk to the guys about pitching. The kid's just passionate about the sport. He's passionate about the Potters. He's passionate about what he's trying to do here.
Yeah.
And it really rubs off on the rest of the guys. So and I'm not saying that there aren't other guys on this team that do the same thing, but I just think Matt Volker, with his experience, his veteran leadership at this point, I think it's really shining through. I really think that makes him one of the front runners for MVP.
And knock on wood, Matt's going to be around the rest of the season.
Yes,
so
wood.
He'll have more chances to do what he has been doing
Absolutely.
from both pitching and hitting. So that's some pretty good candidates we put up there for every position. I think manager of the year, I think, is still up for grabs.
Yeah.
So let's look at the upcoming schedule for your Potters. We mentioned it a little bit earlier that they have a lot of home games. They have, after the 15th of July, they have 10 home games the rest of the month. So they really are backloaded, as they say. We've got tomorrow, we're taking on the Mudcats here. No. Yeah, that's right. The Mudcats here.
We have a job here tomorrow.
Mudcats, yeah. For a second, I thought the Mudcats were Walnut Creek, and I was all screwed up. And then going to the Mudcats on Wednesday.
Yes.
Again, these are very important games.
Absolutely.
They are conference games.
Yes.
They are games with a team that you figure to be competing with for the second spot in the CCL tournament.
Well, this is a home series.
Yes, a home and home series. You want to make the CCL tournament. We thrashed them last time, but it was funny. We beat them 24-12. The next night they beat Walnut Creek 12-10. So they scored 12 points. There I go again.
There he goes
They scored
again.
12 runs in 2 games and only went 1-1.
Yeah.
So which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Which means that they're going to hit. So you've got to, what we talked about before, you've got to pitch and you've got to play defense because they're also giving up a bunch of runs.
Yeah.
So if you keep their, obviously it's mathematics. If you take that 12 and make it a 6, you're going to do pretty well against Lano. So that's, doesn't take geniuses because we figured it out.
Yeah, I figured it out.
But so those are really important. And again, after those two, then the Potters will be through half of their CCL season. Then they have a game on Thursday. Go up to Gold Sox and play your buddy Brock.
Okay.
And he still hasn't got my merchandise.
No.
Then the Novato Knicks come to town on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of July. That is the, obviously, 4th of July weekend series, a non-league series, but against the Novato Knicks. Then there's a lot of time off. The rest of the week is off. Then on Saturday the 10th, the Crawdads come to town. And then we go to Crawdads the next day and the Mudcats the next day. But still, only one home game after the 4th.
Yes.
And then there's the All-Star break, and then we come back on the 15th, and then we've got 10 games over the next, looks like 16, 17 days.
Well,
so
yeah, I'd like to talk about real quick, if you don't mind. I'd like to talk about this home and home that we got coming up.
I don't think we have time, do we?
Okay,
go ahead.
A little bit.
Yeah.
This is something in baseball that happens at the highest levels, AAA, major leagues, where you get a series where you're playing a team back-to-back games, and you know what I mean? So this is a series where they can focus on getting 2 solid wins in the CCL.
You don't have to worry about you're playing the same team twice, so you know what you're getting.
But play it and manage it as if it's a series. So, again, one of the things about baseball that I love, when you're playing, say you're playing a 3-game series, you get into the other team's bullpen early, okay? And you get into
you're talking strategy and stuff like that.
Well, these are some of the things that play into that. And
that's baseball.
How are you going to get to that? Well, you have a home and home right now, so now you can actually focus in on that. And
you know what their strengths are. You know what their weaknesses are.
And you can work on that for game 2. So as you get through game 1, you got more of a focus on game 2. I really think that this. You said last week, this upcoming homestand was going to be our turning point for the CCL. I think this could be a springboard into going in and taking, because we're playing for second place right now in the CCL.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
I don't want to upset anybody who's out there listening for the first time. I don't think we're going to catch the Prune Packers.
No, but we got to beat them once or twice.
No, we do have to beat them, but as far as catching them,
no, you're right.
We want to get into the tournament. Got to get that second place tournament or seed right now.
Right.
And then, I mean, it's all up to the baseball gods at that point.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. That is a critical, for the second week in a row, we got critical conference games.
Yes.
And, I know it's only halfway through, but you're setting the table, as you say, the springboard for the second half of the conference season. And then that CCL tournament you're talking about is Wednesday through Friday. That's the 4th, 5th, and 6th of August, and we'll have that right here at McBean Park.
Yes,
so you can come out and check it out. We're going to have it on 17 different platforms. I don't know.
I'm going to have it all on the same.
Build a new platform or something. So we'll be out here for the CCL, and then on the 7th of August through the 13th, it's the West Coast World Series.
That's right.
16 teams. It's an invitational tournament. The Potters are in it. I don't have a list of the teams right now, but I know there are teams coming from
Seattle
all the way down San Diego, Arizona, I think. Not that I think San Diego's in Arizona, but you know what I mean. So that one is going to be, there's going to be a dedicated YouTube channel, if I'm right, that's West Coast World Series.
I'm building, it is under construction of the West Coast World Series YouTube channel. That will be specifically for all of the games that are being played. Now, we will continue to use the Stones Radio Network's YouTube channel for all alternate site games. And the reason why I'm telling you guys this is this tournament is going to be played not only in Lincoln, California, but also at the Calusa Casino Stadium there in Marysville. Okay, so there will be 2 venues in which you can watch the West Coast World Series venue.
So if you're a Seattle fan and Seattle's playing in Marysville, then you're going to be able to check that out on one of our other platforms.
It'll be on the Stones Radio Networks.
We're all over it. If they don't protest too badly, we'll be announcing some of the games. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe Christina Warren will be doing it. I don't know. But those are 2 things for you to think about if you're a baseball fan and you've seen the great baseball that's been played, and it's going to get even better as the Potters wind their season down through the month of July. Then we've got those 2 tournaments, the CCL, in which the top 2 teams from the South, like maybe San Luis Obispo or somebody like that, will be coming up to play in that tournament. And then the 16-team invitation of the West Coast World Series, which, as we said, has got people from all over the West Coast, hence the name. So you want to make your plans now to check that out if you can't come out here. And Stones, I don't think we establish enough how great it is. The last couple of nights have been out here.
Yes.
They have been just tremendous. The crowds have been great. The vendors are going nuts out here. The field is, it's been a very nice climate. It hasn't been too bad. You've got the covering here, so if you're coming out to watch the game, you're going to be in shade.
This is the great place to watch a game.
Unless you go out in the grassy knoll. But you're going to be here. So if you want to watch great baseball, you're going to be able to see it all the way through the second week in August, the West Coast World Series following the CCL tournament. We've got it all for you on the Stones Radio Network's platforms. Any questions? If you ever have any questions, email stonesradio@yahoo.com. Stones McCoy will be all over those questions. He won't know the answers, but he'll ask me, and I'll tell him exactly what's going on. We thank you for checking us out tonight on the PotterCast. Stones, great job.
Thank you, sir.
Good talking to you. And we will be back tomorrow, 6:05. The Potters taking on, let me check. Oh, yeah, the Mudcats. We've been talking about it for 2 hours. 5:35, Stones Radio Networks goes on the air. About 5:50 or so, the Ryan Stevens Show. So check us out then. Thanks for checking us out tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow.